Hey, this is Mike Shank, and this is the At Speed podcast presented by Rocky Fork Company.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We're back with another special episode of the At Speed podcast, starring Mike Shank, featuring yours truly, Tim May. I don't know if featuring's the right word there, Mike, but we're sitting there. We promised people a post-qualifying look. I was hoping the post-qualifying was going to come after the Fast 9 here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway on Sunday. You didn't quite get there. I would think there's a strange. You have to have strange feelings in something like that because you want to be part of the big show, that big show. Yep. Yet the biggest show is coming, but there's no doubt that you guys, for one of another term, just didn't have the oomph on qualifying. Yeah. And you had Honda power, etc. But sometimes things aren't created equal. But just was it disappointing? How would you describe it?
Really disappointing. I mean, we ran all week at a level where I thought was acceptable. Kind of 5th to 8th, 9th, 10th in that range, and I thought we could do that, right? And when that didn't happen yesterday, it was really disappointing. There's lots of little reasons, but we're trying to pinpoint why this happened. You can imagine, if nothing else, is an exercise for this not to happen next year. Right?
Yeah.
And yes, everything changes in race, what we call race trim. Like it'll be a whole different dynamic in race trim. However, that being said, it's the Indy 500. We want to be on pole. We want to be running in the Fast 9. We've been in the top 10 5 times this year in qualifying. We deserve to be there. It was disappointing. We are doing a full-scale download on why we went there, as we should have been, but it wasn't meant to be. In Indianapolis, the one thing we know is there's 2 things I know. First of all, this is the highest we've ever qualified here. That's one thing.
And where are you, by the way, on the grid?
We're 20.
There you go.
So, but more, kind of like to me, understanding why it happens is the core to this, right?
Yeah.
And what are we going to do in December of this year to help in May of next year so that we don't get this spot?
I think pretty sure it wasn't the driver's fault.
Well, so Jack was wide open all 4 laps.
Right.
This is
all you can do is press the gas, right?
All you can do. There are some line sensitive things, but for the most part,
downshifts, winter downshifts, upshifts. Yeah.
Exactly, and how you move the cars, cross weight, and in the run, and all that kind of thing. But listen, for the most part, it's been a great week for us, except for that part. We just didn't get the number we should.
Yeah, but let's put this in total perspective. We're talking about 3 miles an hour, I think, or less, over a 4-lap run, separating, I think, number 28 from number 1 on the spur.
Absolutely.
On the Everybody Plays Saturday.
Yeah.
That just shows you what this series is all about right now.
It is so. The days when you first kept coming here, the delta between 1 and 33 was just gigantic. Now it is a fraction, and everybody's good. There's nobody you can count on to be at the back. I just don't know how else to say it. The cars are so close in parity. But there are differences, and obviously we got to see one where we were. We thought we were in good shape, and we weren't as good shape as we thought.
Yeah.
And that's the disappointing part. Now, though, at some point we got to put that off. Okay, we're going to investigate. We're going to know why. We're going to have a solution for next year, but we got to go race this year. So that's the no-brainer.
Yeah, I'm going to just introduce a few videos I've taken too. Y'all weren't the only one with a disappointing Saturday. I mean, like for example, defending race champion and pole sitter Simon Pasha.
Yeah. He looked really strong in practice this week, but in qualifying, the Chevrolets just didn't quite have our Honda power.
Yeah.
We're really proud of what Honda's done and HPD have done to get this motor. I mean, this motor is 8 years old now. I mean, like for them to extract more out of 7 years old, for them to extract anything is a miracle, right?
Yeah.
At this point, Chevrolets are the same boat, but I think Honda, when they turned it up to 150, what we call 150 for the quality, I think Honda was really good.
I was going to say, we had Ted Klaus, we had him on the teleconference, and the HPD, head of HPD, and he was over the top. I mean, about just the general. I don't know, fast back's not the right word, because we're talking about this.
But here's the great thing about Ted and his group, and I just met with him this morning. They have the power this year. They're clearly the leader, but they're still concerned about why MSR didn't run as well as we should have.
Of course.
So
y'all weren't the only ones.
Yeah, that's right. I feel like he paid as much attention to us as the guy that's going to be on pole.
Yeah.
So that's the good.
I was going to say, I talked with a couple of drivers, including Colton Herman, part of y'all's group, etc. And let's just watch these videos for a second, and we'll be back with Mike Shank. But this is what I would call a minor disappointment, because what really matters is the race. And we'll be back in a minute to talk about what y'all do headed toward Friday, this coming Friday, when you get to practice for the last time. You sat on the pole last year, won the race here, and now you're not in the Fast 9 shootout. Is it like you're missing the cool kids party, or is it, hey, that's the breaks?
You're right, Tim. It's a bit like that. You're missing the cool kids party. I don't remember last time I wasn't in the Fast 9, and that's the lesson I'm taking from this. Is just, it happens. It's racing. Certainly didn't have a good day yesterday with Tim Penske, and but nobody's to blame, quite frankly. We move on. We know we didn't have the pure pace, but we know we have a great race car, and that's what's important to me now. I'm going to embrace the situation, and I'm going to take every positive aspect of it. It's going to allow me to learn traffic really quickly. It's going to allow me to be aggressive and go to the front. And maybe the roles with Rossi will be inverted at the end, so maybe I'll be the one chasing.
Yeah, I got you. That's what I wanted to ask you, though. It is funny, though. Just when you think you got things figured out at a place like this, and even in your sport, curveballs come, right?
Yes, it's a gigantic track. Speed's everything here. Everything that you do, every adjustments on the wing has a big impact on speed. And it's not just the wings, it's everything on the race car. So there's a million combination of settings that comes in play. You know what, we didn't get it right yesterday, but we will in the future. Tim Penske is the Yankees of IndyCar, and we bounce back. That's what we do. We win together, we lose together.
Yeah. Here, is it like it's the cool kids party you don't get to go to? How would you describe it?
Yeah, it's frustrating. I think it's probably more frustrating when you're so close. Like, we missed it by 0.02 of a mile an hour, which is, it's nothing. But I think it's probably a little bit less frustrating if you know you don't really have a chance. Like, if you're like 17th, I guess it's frustrating in your own right that you're 17th. But to be so close and do like 3 attempts yesterday, it was tough. But I just didn't have the pace in qualifying. I'm hoping that we have a good car in the race. It seems like we do. Yeah. And we'll kind of take it from there.
Hey, real quick though, did you spend all night last night going, man, just one little whatever here or there and I'd be there? You know what I mean? How do you compartmentalize it quickly?
Yeah, I guess it's really little stuff. It could be a thousandth of a degree in the camber or something as small as that. So it's really, really tiny stuff that we're talking, very tiny margins. And unfortunately, it kind of bit us. We had a great year last year in qualifying, and we just didn't have the pace this year. And I think the balance was good. I just think we don't have the car speed in qualifying. So it seems like we have a really good race car, and I'm hoping that will show in these next few days, and we'll get a little bit better of a handle on it, and hopefully we'll be in winner's circle.
Hey, well, last thing though, when you see 4 of your teammates, 1, 2, 3, 4, you're sitting there going, "What did they get? I didn't get." I'm joking.
No, I mean, cars are different. It's hard to build cars specifically to each degree, each thousandth or millionth of a percent to the same. So there obviously is very little differences in the cars, but like I said, they got it right, and we just didn't. So I think we're all flat in qualifying. It's a matter of who's just tinkering just a little bit better, and obviously they had some better feedback or whatnot to get the cars to where they wanted it to be, and we just missed it just a little bit.
My blink of an eye. We're not talking about.
No, yeah. I mean, we did miss it by a lot.
You can't even compute that,
No, yeah, it is very tiny, but it is frustrating when you miss it.
For me, the cool kids party's on race day. So we haven't missed it yet. It's almost like maybe you didn't get the letter in the mail, but you can still show up and you can still be the cool kid at the party. Yeah. But I think, look, I feel confident in what we're going to bring for race day. I think our Team Chevy Shell car is honestly really good in race trim, and I feel so excited to get the opportunity to go racing next weekend, and I think we're going to put on a good fight and bring a lot to the table.
Yeah, the one thing about this sport is you got to bounce back quick no matter what your disappointment is one way or the other, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You've got to bounce back quick. But I feel good. I don't think we got to bounce back too much. I think 13th was a good spot for us, and I think we'll have a lot to bring to the table come race day.
Part of the cool kids group, but you didn't get invited to the cool kids party, which is the Fast 9. You know what I mean?
Well, we had a great shot at it. That was the best qualifying car that I've ever driven. Yeah. We were missing some straight line speed, which puzzled me and puzzled my engineer. So, at the end of the day, it's one of those things. We knew we had the car to do it. Just for whatever reason, reason, something kind of held us back. So I'm happy for my Andretti team. You know, the guys that are in the Fast 9 did a great job. I had no doubt that we had a shot at it.
Yep.
We just didn't have things go our way. So at the end of the day, a positive is it's my best start in Indy 500 at 17th. We can race from there. We got 500 miles. So, yeah, I'm still pretty happy with the day.
You know, I'm getting you, obviously, Jack Harvey.
Yeah.
Y'all are all in the same sharing deal. And at the end of the day, do you go back and go, what did those guys get that we didn't get? Or I know, you know, not that anybody's being cheated, but you know what I mean?
No, nothing like that. We all know we have equal opportunities, but you know, Jack and I kind of found ourselves on the same thing. You know, we both went out, we did our first lap, and we thought it was really good. And we looked at the dash, and we were like, okay, that's nowhere near what it just felt like. It should have been so much faster. So Jack and I are both a bit puzzled, a bit confused, because we're in the same boat right now. But that's Indy. Sometimes this place does that. It's just we had the speed Friday night, just didn't have it when it counted on Saturday.
Okay, well, Mike, we're back, Mike, and obviously it's increments of disappointment because everybody I've talked to on those videos, including Simon Pagino and Joseph Newgarden of the Penske team, none of the Penske's made the Fast 9. So,
well, it's interesting, and
it's all about power in that respect.
Well, it is, but you got to look. Penske's got 4 cars. They all have the same power. They have the capability, budget, and talent to make sure that all 4 of those cars are equal. So we know when they roll, they are equal capability, gearbox, uprights, everything is free as it can be, right?
Yeah.
And still there's a huge delta in the performance of those 4 cars. And in Andretti's we have 6 or 7, right? And it's still difficult to see why.
Yeah.
There's so many little details that make up the answers. We're not going to have it, but it happens to Roger, it happens to MSR, it happens to Andretti. Every year it's been universal. Someone says to me after that run, this happens to all of us one time or another.
Yeah, and like you're saying, you're in the Andretti Autosport umbrella. They had the 4 fastest cars on Saturday. They had Colton Hurd, who almost got in, Zach Veach, and you guys. And the differences even between you guys and Colton Hurd was just fractions. But fractions, as they all say, it goes, details are what make the difference around here.
Yeah.
And what people have to understand too, we talked about this in our earlier podcast, you guys got this boost in horsepower on Fridays and Saturday. Friday, Saturday only for qualifying.
Yeah.
And so you really, you know, it's kind of like the luck of the draw then. I mean, whether or not, you know, it all came to fruition for your engine like it did for somebody else's.
That's right. But to be fair, we drew 5th, right? Like we went early. We did not capitalize on that, and that's what we're dissecting to figure out why.
Yeah.
And if nothing else, it's just so that when this happens again next year or whenever, we're more prepared to deal with it.
What went into the thinking? Explain to people who don't get to do this. What went into the thinking? Go ahead and send Jack back out there for another shot later in the afternoon on Saturday. Because did you think there was a tweak? Did y'all find a tweak you could make?
Yes.
No, but it ultimately didn't make up for maybe just a lack of horsepower compared to the other guys.
Yeah. So we found several low-hanging fruits, and we said going into this, if we find that, we're going to run again, and we did, and we ran, and we went slower, right? So that's the mystery of Indianapolis, right? But we said if we can find good reason, we're going to do it again because it's a high-risk situation, and we don't want to purposely put Jack or the car in that spot.
Yeah, but it's crazy because this track changes from track temperature of 100 degrees to 130, which is, I think it was higher than that.
131.
When y'all went out for your second shot, and that's a total different track.
It really is.
I mean, people understand the slide factor, etc. Listen, what do you tell, you know, from a head coaching standpoint?
Yeah.
What'd you tell your team Saturday night? Because I know you're all pumped, man.
We were, and you know, I felt like, and I did this actually. I dressed them about an hour, 2 hours after we got the last checkered flag. I felt the need and compelled to get everyone together and talk about our week, the good things, the bad things, what I expect of them, that I'm really proud of them, I'm really happy with them. The mistakes we've made, let's not make them again. Let's think about why they happened, and just don't stop. Right? Just, I'm here for you. I'm always wanting the best for you. Don't stop with your perfection, right? Don't think it's good enough, please. Because, you know, honestly, we're always selling. Our performance sells what we do, right? And I need every little arrow in my quill to try to sell potential new deals or honestly keep the folks that we have on board.
Yeah.
We need performance. They didn't come here to run 20, period. And how do we solve that? But it was really to try to make sure everybody knows that, yes, it wasn't a good day for us. We've had great days this year. We're going to have more, and let's go forward.
Let's say this didn't appear to have been necessarily a problem that was manifested by your team. It just happened. I think from a fire standpoint, you're probably a little antsy about saying that, but it was obvious there was maybe a little bit of differential from the faster cars in the Honda stable. We're talking about just minute things.
Yeah.
But did you also verify with your team, hey, we've done a pretty damn good job getting this car ready. Jack stayed off the walls, et cetera. You got to like that momentum in that regard.
Well, from a drivability balance, called chassis balance, I think we hit it pretty well. And I think the details, it's real critical water temperatures, and I think we did a pretty good job, managing, keeping our water cool when we needed it to be. I think we managed many things well. There's a lot of preparation going into a qualifier, and one tactic is not to practice yesterday. There's only 4 or 5 cars that went out. We did not go out. And the idea is that we don't want to put that heat in the car.
Yeah.
You'll never get rid of that for the day. So we lots of good things happened yesterday, Tim. It just, the big negative is we just didn't get to be where we were. And that's tough.
Well, Mike, I've talked to a lot of Ohio State coaches after big losses. I wouldn't call this a loss. I would call this halftime.
Yeah.
And you guys are on the 7th row instead of the first row. You know what? There's a whole half to go, and I know we're going to get back next time you see us, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be talking after basically Carb Day.
Yeah.
And what you feel about going into the race, the lessons you've learned over the last several years coming here that will come to fruition for you, at least on race day. How you deal with different things that go on in a race. I mean, it's almost like 4 or 5 different races as the race goes on, right?
Yeah,
You're always adjusting.
Yeah, it's constant. And the one great thing that happened this year is I believe that. So the last couple of years, Chevy's probably had an advantage on us, and I'll tell you this year, Honda, when they boosted up to 150 kp, I mean, Honda really came on with their game, and I'm so proud of what those guys have done. Because these motors are so old. We're like, what can you do to make them better?
Yeah.
And they found a way. And
you and I were talking in the previous podcast because Chevy seemed to always have that little magic button.
A little bit.
I mean, the last couple of years, but it was Honda that clearly had it.
No question about it. And I'll tell you the interesting thing. On Friday, you saw the top 12, 14 cars, for the most part, were all Honda. And I went around and did a little observation and talked to people. I was like, what do you guys think? I mean, they can't be. There's no upside for them holding back.
Right? Yeah.
There's no upside for it. And they had a couple run really well, which is great. But I just give all credit to Ted Klaus, and all his guys at HPD that they didn't sit on their backside. They made it better, and hopefully they can put someone on pole and win the race.
Imagine this: they started working on that engine literally the day after the Indy 500 of 2019, meaning the updates, etc.
Yeah.
And you have to wait, literally.
Yeah.
You have to wait literally until Fast Friday
To know
of the next year, and then Fast Friday was delayed. So imagine him. It's kind of like waiting for a baby. Waiting for your wife to have the child, and there's delayed and stuff. And he was emotional almost when we got to talk to him because clearly the work they had done, they had soldiered through the COVID-19 challenges, working at home, trying to get things together, and he was extremely impressed by his group at Honda Performance Development, Honda Power.
And Ted's only a year into the job now. He deserves the credit, and so does his team. Don't get me wrong, but I love Ted. We work really well together, and I think it bodes well for this motor. And Ted will be involved in what we'll call the next generation IndyCar motor, which we don't know a lot of details about, but they're working on it, and I guarantee it'll be at a high level. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, like I said, I promise we'll be back early next weekend with a look at what Mike Shank sees as the keys to the 104th Indianapolis 500. His team will be starting 20th with driver Jack Harvey. But, stranger things have happened. Alexander Rossi came through the field last year.
That's right.
Almost stole the race. I'm going to steal. It's not the right word. If you win it, you earned it.
Yeah.
But Jack Harvey will be facing a lot of challenges there early in that race with traffic, etc. Passing is supposed to be at a premium this year, but it's really funny, Mike. When big money's on the line, and the purse is cut in half, it's still big money. These drivers find a way to get to the front.
They want to win, right? It's still the Indy 500.
Exactly. But until then, this is Tim May for Mike Shank. We'll see you then.